Hello and welcome to Joblogic training for the mobile app. So if you're an engineer and you have the mobile app available to you, we're going to go through on this simple video on how to go through the life of a job. So the first thing you do is when you open up your phone is that you'll have your Joblogic sign-in screen. From there you can see that all it's a matter of putting in is your actual email address that's given to you and your password that you've made up. If you go down here and tick the remember me, you won't have to do that in the future because your actual phone will remember that for you. If you then click login, that'll log you into the app. And the first screen you'll come across is here. And what you have available is several things available, but for the purposes of this video, we're just going to concentrate on visits. So we're going to hit visits on the site. The next screen you come to, you'll have a selection of all the jobs available to you for that day. Also, you can include closed jobs if they're available. You'll notice at the top you have the option here. It says you have one new visit, and across there you can accept all if you want to accept a list of jobs that you have for the day. But if you want to do it individually, you can do and go into the individual job that's open. So the one that's open in this case is the one with a question mark above it. That's the one that's available to you. So if you click in there, you then come to the next screen, which gives you the option of accepting the job or rejecting the job. Rejecting the job, we won't go into that today, but basically it's just certain little reasons that you may not, so for example, if it's a dangerous site, etc. But what we're going to concentrate on today is accepting the job and going through the life of a job. You'll also notice at the top of the screen that you have the address and what you're going to do at the job. And also the address there is actually highlighted. If you clicked on that, you would actually go through to Google Maps, and with Google Maps allowing you to then do your destinations, etc., and do your so Google Maps allows you to do your sat nav. So what we can do is we're going to accept the job. So we click on the thumbs up, and then it comes through with a date and timestamp of when you're going to accept that job. So all you need to do is click save. That then takes you through to your next available screen. Again, you've still got the availability of the address to go to do your sat nav. But what we're going to concentrate on is the button here, which is at travel. As soon as you hit travel, you obviously notice there that you've got a little green van. This actually then, if you hit that and travel, comes up with a date and time stamp and click save. That then goes back to your back office to let them know that you're traveling to the job. So we click save, and then availability to there. We've now got several options available to us on the mobile app. So the one we're going to concentrate on is on site, but you do have the option to abandon the travel on the job. This may be for any reason, for example, if you've broken down, in which case, if you click abandon, it'll date and timestamp it and it stops the clock on the job. The one thing to note there is it doesn't remove the job from your list, it just leaves it there available to go back to, and it'll just have the travel button again when you can start traveling back to that job. But for this instance, we're going to go on site on the job. Click on site, and there time and date stamps when you get to the job. It also records the mileage if you're using Google Maps. If not, you can actually overtype that with anything you want, but that depends on what the company wants from you with regards to mileage. If you then click save, you then come up to your risk assessment forms. So this is the next thing we now need to fill in. So you notice there's several risk assessment forms available. What we're going to go for is the short duration one, but if you click the button at the top, it gives you the option. Which one do you want? The full risk assessment form, which is about 10 to 12 pages long, or the short duration risk assessment form, which is what most people use. So if we click on that, click next, it then comes up with a question of, are there any hazards? Invariably, when you're working on site somewhere, there's always something about some hazards available. So normally click yes, and then click next. And what you can then do is add any hazards that you can see. So for example, if there's trailing cables, we'll just put that in here for you. And then it asks you what is the control measure for that. So we're going to put cable casing installed. And then it asks you risk level after implementing the control measure. So we just put low in this case. Now we've done that, and then click next. And again, you can add infinitum the hazards available. But in this case, we just have the one, and then we click next again. Questions, will you be working at height? You can click yes or no. If you clicked yes, it then comes up with an options available to you to what you're actually using to work at height. But if you click no, it'll just go on, and then you just click next. Again, here is personal protective equipment. So for example, most of the time you're probably wearing a hard hat. So you would put that down, hard hat on there. You can also put gloves, etc. It really depends on what your company is looking for and what they want you to put in. Come down here, you click add to the current PPE list. So now put your hard hat in there. You click next. And then it gives you, after all of that, your overall risk assessment. So is it high, medium, or low? So in this case, it's a low risk assessment. So we click low, click next, and then it asks for your signature. So again, sign it on the actual mobile device, click on complete, and then you're through to finishing your risk assessment. So what we've done there, if you then scroll down to the bottom of the page on there, you'll notice that it's got your start time, and also the short duration risk assessment form has already been completed. So this is like a running thing of what's actually been done so far. If you then click to previous page, that'll bring you back to this page here with all of the details of the job on. So notice there are lots of things available to you if you scroll down the screen. So it depends on what you're actually looking for and what forms you have available to you from your particular company. But in this case, we're not going to look at those today. They will be looked at a future date video. So what we're going to look at now is actually two options: completing site or leave site. So if you left site and clicked on that could be for any reason. For example, if you needed parts on a job, you would click leave site. That then effectively stops the timer on the clock for the job. So you go off. Your back office then know you've left site, but it doesn't actually take the job off you. It just means that you've now just left that site to go and buy some parts, and then you're coming back later on. You can actually, when you come back, it'll ask you to put yourself back on site, and then that starts the timer again. So, but in this instance, what we're going to do is complete the job so we can go through the life cycle of a job. So if you tick complete, it then comes up with a complete job form. So you can hit at this point or at any point during the process, you can add attachments, add parts available to you, added on the visit, or any expenses. It really depends on whether you need to. You don't have to. It's free form here. Attachments can be things like photos, if your company requires them. Parts, obviously, if you've added any parts at the time, and any expenses as well if your company requires you to record expenses. It's just a matter of each one of those, just pressing the button, and then that form will be available to you. So for example, if you had expenses, say we put on here, it comes out with things. So perhaps you had parking, and that's cost you £5 on the job. Save, and then that puts that in there for you. Then you click on previous page, and it'll take you back to the complete visits tab. Click complete visits, and now you'll notice that one's got the expenses gone because you've actually completed that, but the other two are still there because we haven't added any attachments or added parts in this particular instance. So we click continue. It now says, is the issue resolved? So in this case, was the boiler leaking actually resolved? So we click yes. Any recommendations that you want to put in, that's free flow type if you want to. So that's just recommendations. Maybe you might want to put there's a new boiler required if it's a continual leak. Click next. Any public notes here, so that if you've had any previous jobs on this particular visit for the visits you've had, all the notes will be in there, but it does ask you now required to add notes on this particular job. So you just put whatever you need in there. So complete job. Parts required, for example. But actually, that's again free type with however you want to do that. Again, if you click next, it then gives you your status and time for completing the job. Click next, date and timestamps. Click next again, and here you can put. We ask for the customer signature and name. If there's nobody available, just put nobody available. But in this case, for example, we'll just put Mr. Smith. The position, well, if it's a site manager, you can put that in there, or whatever position they hold. Depends on what we're doing. And then we just sign it there. They just sign it there. Click next, and then it asks for your signature as well. And we click save. And that is actually how you go through a life of a job on your mobile device. We will have future videos on other things, but thank you very much.